All right, what is going on, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to the KC Sports Report. Michael Darcy, your host here as always. And today I'm going to break down why the Kansas City Chiefs will win Super Bowl 56. So if you just clicked on this video and know nothing about me, you're probably like, hey, this kid's pretty cocky. And the correct answer to that question is yeah. I'm very confident in this Chiefs team. And I really believe that this is the team to win the Super Bowl and avenge last year's Super Bowl loss. But before we get into this video, I'd like to say that if you haven't already, follow the show on Twitter. That's at KC Sports Report. And Instagram, that's KC_Sports Report. I keep you updated with all the new Chiefs news right after it happens, as well as live reactions straight from this cocky, confident kid. So you can follow the show on my social media, and I'd really appreciate that. So with that being said, guys, let's get into the main topic of this video, and that's why the Chiefs will win Super Bowl 56. So the main reason that I'm making this video is because I kind of want to look back at this in 3 or 4 months and be like, hey, I was either totally wrong or I was right on the money. It is September 7th, 2021. We play the Browns later this week on Sunday in week 1 of the NFL season. So I had to kind of wait on this video for a little bit to see if anybody got injured or let the preseason conclude. And, you know, the Chiefs made it through training camp in the preseason with pretty minimal injuries, which is a good thing. And I wouldn't be as confident as I am right now if we lost Patrick Mahomes or Travis Kelce or a main player that is a key cog to this machine. But everybody's healthy and we're ready to roll. And I really think that this is going to be the best Chiefs team we have ever seen. And, you know, I've said that before, and a lot of people kind of say, why is that? And I think that to break it down even further, last year, the only thing that held this Chiefs team back from winning a Super Bowl was the offensive line. Eric Fisher got hurt in the AFC Championship game. I really don't want to talk about it. You guys all know what happened. And the Chiefs' offensive line collapsed in the Super Bowl. Again, we all know what happened. But I think that, you know, coming into the offseason, I was expecting them to address the offensive line, but I wasn't expecting them to full out revamp the offensive line the way that they did. You know, this year we're going to have 5 new starters. You got left tackle Orlando Brown, somebody you traded for in the offseason. Left guard Joe Tooney, you gave him a massive contract also in the offseason. You drafted Creed Humphrey, the center. You also drafted your right guard Trey Smith, who was a rookie coming onto the scene that was probably going to be a backup, but he looked so good in training camp that he won that job. And then your right tackle is going to be Lucas Niang, who you drafted a couple years ago, but he's never played on this team. So you got 5 new guys on this offensive line that have never played in a Chiefs uniform. So that's going to be interesting, but I also think that that was really what was missing last year. I mean, this Chiefs team, like I said, they were an offensive line away from beating the Bucs in the Super Bowl, and you have that now. And not only do you have an offensive line, you got a top 3 unit in my opinion. I think that it's going to take a little time for them to gel, but I think that when it's all said and done and we get down to the nitty-gritty in the playoffs, we're going to be a top 5, maybe top 3 unit. I think that they've got the talent, and I think that, you know, it's really important to solidify the left side of the line because we've seen it in the past. Mahomes can kind of deal with a subpar right side, but you got to have your left tackle and you got to have your left guard. And the Chiefs have both of those guys under contract and on lock. So that's a great sign. But also going as to why this is going to be the best Chiefs team we've ever seen is the offense is going to be more dynamic. Now, that partly comes with Patrick Mahomes receiving more time. You know, I did a video on what we should kind of expect from him this year and also predicting his stat line. I think he's going to throw like 45 touchdowns and 51 to 5,200 yards and have less than 10 interceptions. So if he does that, he's probably going to win the MVP. But that's just going to lead to an offense that, again, is unstoppable. You got Travis Kelce. He's more than likely going to put up 100 or 1,000 yards rather this season, which would be the 6th season in a row that he's done that, which would, again, be an NFL record. Tyreek Hill's going to do his thing. He's going to have at least 1,000 yards. Mecole Hardman, I think, is going to take a bigger role in this offense with Sammy Watkins now in Baltimore, which is pretty critical. We need him to step up, but I really think that he will. You got Doris Fountain, a guy that made the team, Byron Pringle, who's going to have to take a bigger role. Demarcus Robinson, hopefully we get something good out of him. But going over to the running backs, I mean, Clyde Edwards-Helaire had a pretty good season last year for a rookie. It wasn't great, but I think that being a second-year running back in this offense, he's going to get a lot more touches, whether that is catching balls out of the slot, whether that is being a guy in the flat that just catches the ball and runs up field. I think that he's going to get a lot more touches, whether it's in the running game, which I think that he could very easily rush for 1,000 yards and catch 500. But I think that he's going to be a big part of this offense this year that nobody's really talking about. He could be a surprise weapon this year and a main reason why this team could win the Super Bowl. He could be that good. But also you got guys like Darrell Williams and Jerick McKinnon, who some say are 2-1 and 2 or 2A and 2B, I guess you could say. I personally think that Jerick McKinnon is a better all-around running back than Darrell Williams. Darrell Williams is fantastic in the blocking game, as well as in short yardage situations. But I think that when it really comes down to it, those guys are going to be playing complementary football and just helping this offense out with what they've already got. And you know, the Chiefs have 4 tight ends this year: Blake Bell, Travis Kelce, Noah Gray, draft pick this year, and Jody Fortson. That's going to lead to a lot of mismatches in the red zone. I think that a lot of the touchdowns this year that Mahomes throws are going to come in the red zone by hitting a tight end. I think that Jody Fortson's going to get in on it. Travis Kelce, he's going to do his thing. And Blake Bell could be very good at too. So I think that the offense is going to be better than anything that we've ever seen. And again, it's so hard to say that because in 2018, Patrick Mahomes threw for 50 touchdowns and 5,000 yards and had one of the best seasons a quarterback has ever had. And that offense historically was one of the best we've ever seen. So after seeing that, it's pretty hard to top it. And they really haven't been able to do that. But I think that this is the year where we just see an offensive firepower to the likes that we've never seen before. And I think that the majority of the reason why I had that confidence is because the offensive line has gotten so much better, and Patrick Mahomes is going to have that extra time. And we've seen it before. If you give Patrick Mahomes extra time, he's going to sit back there and pick you apart. And so I think this offense is going to be as dynamic, if not more dynamic than we've seen in the past, which is going to be a big advocate and proponent as to why they go to the Super Bowl. I mean, we saw it in the AFC Championship game last year. The Buffalo Bills, who were considered to be the biggest threat, the biggest suitor to dethrone the Chiefs, they got killed because they could not stop the speed and the explosiveness to this offense. And I don't think that's going to change this year. I think that if anything, they're going to get better. So why don't we go over to the defensive side of the ball? Because that's where a lot of the concern lies for a lot of Chiefs fans, which I have seen recently. But I think that the defense is going to be top 15, at least top 15 in my opinion. I'm looking around the 11 to 12 mark. I really do think they have the pieces. It's just, can they stay healthy? At the time of this recording, September 7th, Tyrann Mathieu is still on the COVID protocol list. He got COVID-19. And Willie Gay's got turf toe. He's out on injured reserve. So there are a few guys with injuries that could be derailing to this defense and a dip in production. I mean, Ben Neiman's going to have to start week 1, which I don't know how it's going to go, but I can predict that it's not going to go well. But I think the defense is going to be good. Now, again, I think that injuries are really the only thing that could derail this, but we've seen it in the past. Not Bob Sutton, I am so sorry. Steve Spagnuolo, rather, has drawn up perfect game plans, utilizes the secondary and blitz packages, and just different ways to force pressure, which a lot of Chiefs fans are concerned that the front four aren't going to be able to get enough pass rush and pressure on the quarterback this year, which is a pretty fair point. Frank Clark has not been the guy that we signed him to be, and they don't really have anybody else. But this offseason, they moved Chris Jones to the edge. I think that he could have 18 to 20 sacks this year and be just an absolute menace. I could see him being Defensive Player of the Year. I really could. But I think that the defense overall is going to be somewhere around the 10 to 15 mark. I would be kind of surprised if they were top 10, but I wouldn't be shocked. I would be very surprised if they were outside the top 15. I would think that this Chiefs defense, with the veteran leadership and experience that they have, should be top 15. That's just what I believe. But, you know, I think the secondary is going to be strong. Like I said, Tyrann Mathieu, even though he's out now, we know how good he is and the leadership and the experience that he brings. That secondary, ever since he came, has been very, very good. I think that's going to be a pretty bright spot this year. Mike Hughes, Travarius Ward, DeAndre Baker, L'Jarius Sneed. I think that they have enough personnel in the secondary. The linebacking core, Willie Gay, who is hurt right now, but he's probably going to come back. At least I think so at the time of this recording. You got Ben Neiman, Nick Bolton, the draft pick this year, and Anthony Hitchens. I think that you've got enough guys right there. If everybody stays healthy in the linebacking core, it stands to be a pretty good unit, at least in my opinion. And I kind of addressed the front four already. You got, I guess you could go with Frank Clark on one side, Chris Jones on the other, and your defensive tackles would be Jerron Reed, who I think is going to be a pretty big part of this defensive line. And you got Derek Nottie, your run stuffer. I think that those guys are going to be pretty pivotal this year. I think that Reed's going to get to the quarterback and kind of force some of the blocks off of Chris Jones and Frank Clark. And I also think that Derek Nottie is going to be pretty big in stopping the run. But kind of getting away from the individuality of the team, I really kind of stretched with words there. Getting away from that and the offense and the defense, I kind of wanted to predict how I think the season's going to go. There are 17 games this week, or 17 games this year, so 18 weeks in total in the regular season, one bye week. And I think that this team is going to be better than anything we've seen in the past. And I think that my gut reaction looking at this schedule, I got them going 15-2. I think that there's 2 games this year that they have a decent chance of losing, and one of them is against the Chargers in LA, coming off of a short week from playing the Raiders the Sunday before. And I would not be surprised if the Bills beat us at home, just because I think that the Chiefs are probably going to go 4-0 up until that point, and I would not be surprised if they drop that 5th game. But I really do think that this team is basically going to run through this season. We saw it last year. They basically only lost to the Raiders, and they decided to lose to the Chargers. I don't think that they're going to make those mistakes. I think that they're going to basically run through the division, with the exception of that one loss against the Chargers. That's really the only one that I can see right now. So I got the Chiefs going 15-2. That should be good enough for the first seed in the AFC. The road to the Super Bowl goes through Arrowhead Stadium, which it has for the past 3 years. And so the Chiefs would have to play at home for the playoffs. I think that they have just been so dominant over the past couple years, in the playoffs specifically, that any team coming into Arrowhead, it's a tough environment. I think that they're going to find out, even if they played there before, like if the Bills or the Browns come to town in the divisional round again, I still think the Chiefs are going to push them around, because they've shown in the past that Arrowhead is a tough place to play. There are going to be a lot of fans there this year. The COVID protocols have basically said that full attendance will be allowed. So Arrowhead's going to be rocking this year. So I think that the crowd's going to have a big factor in this game. So I think the Chiefs are going to run through the playoffs, and I do think they're going to get back to the Super Bowl. And, you know, this is kind of where I have been thinking about this matchup for a while now. I actually have a rematch of Super Bowl 55. I've got a Chiefs-Bucks Super Bowl. I think the Bucks are going to pretty much run through the NFC this year. There really aren't that many good teams. The AFC's more deeper. Oh my gosh, the AFC is deeper. It's been a long day, folks. The AFC is deeper and has more talented teams. So I do think that they are going to put up more of a fight against the Chiefs, which is going to be difficult, but I think that the Bucks have just a really easy path. So I got a Chiefs-Bucks rematch in the Super Bowl, and something that I've been waiting to say for a long time is the Chiefs will not allow what happened last year. History will not repeat itself. It will not happen again. And the main reason why is because I think that, you know, a lot of people say that if the Chiefs had a fully healthy offensive line in that game, the outcome would have been different. And I really don't disagree with them. I think that if the Chiefs have a healthy offensive line, I'm not saying they win that game, but it's close. I mean, the Chiefs are putting some points up on the board and making that game much closer than it actually was. So I really think that, you know, the Chiefs and the Bucks are going to rematch in the Super Bowl, and it's ultimately going to have the Chiefs taking home Super Bowl 56. It's going to be in Los Angeles this year, so winning a Super Bowl on the Chargers' home turf would be pretty cool. But I also think that, you know, this team, and you know, this Chiefs team over the past couple years, I don't want to sound like a arrogant Chiefs fan, because honestly, I've suffered through the 2012 Chiefs and Chiefs teams that weren't good. So obviously coming from a spot where I'm predicting us to go to the Super Bowl and win the thing sounds arrogant, but at the end of the day, I just think this Chiefs team is one of the best teams, not only in Chiefs history, but in NFL history. I mean, we saw it last year. How many teams in NFL history have gone back-to-back? Only the great ones. So the fact that the Chiefs in a COVID year got back there and had a chance to win that as well, I mean, it just kind of shows you that this team's legit, and they got everything under control. They got the head coach in Andy Reid, you got the star quarterback in Patrick Mahomes, you got the GM in Brett Veach, and you got a great owner in Clark Hunt. And when you bring it all together, it makes for a super team. So I really think that the Chiefs will win Super Bowl 56 based off the fact that they're hungry. You know, ever since they lost that game, they've not really let it go. And that's something that as a fan you really want to see, because sometimes a lot of players get complacent and they just kind of accept it. But Patrick Mahomes, from the very beginning, along with Tyrann Mathieu, they were very adamantly upset. They were like, hey, this is not okay, and we got to do better. And that's the mindset of a champion. You've got to find a way that even when you get the absolute shit kicked out of you in a Super Bowl, you've got to be able to rebound. And the Chiefs, in my opinion, in the 2021 season are going to rebound, and they're going to basically go to the Super Bowl and take care of business and win Super Bowl 56. So, Chiefs Kingdom, what are your thoughts on my prediction? I know it sounds pretty, not really out there. I mean, the Chiefs are going to be favored to win the Super Bowl, so it's not really a surprise, but I think that a lot of people are going to be kind of surprised by my demeanor and my confidence in the team, because I'm not going to lie, ever since, the Chiefs went into the offseason, I've basically been like, yeah, the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl this year. I've kind of had that mentality. I just think that this team from top to bottom, it's one of the deepest teams in the NFL and definitely the deepest team in recent Chiefs memory. And I think that, depth is how you win championships. I've said it before. Depth is what gets you into these moments, because you're going to have games where you lose somebody important. And the question is, do you have the depth to rebound? And I think that this year, Brett Veach saw what happened in the Super Bowl. We all did. And he went out and got the depth that this team needed. So, like I said, Chiefs Kingdom, let me know in the comments what you think of my opinion and what you think of this video. So yeah, it is September 7th, 2021. I'm stating the date again because I'm going to look back at this in 3 or 4 months in February after the Chiefs win the Super Bowl and just say, hey, I was right about it all along. Thank you for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it, hit that like button, comment, and subscribe for more of the best Chiefs content on YouTube. You can also follow us on Instagram for more of the latest updates on future videos, as well as instant Chiefs news right after it happens. You can also support the channel via the Patreon, as well as buying merchandise from the KC Sports Report store on Teespring. The links to all of those websites will be in the description. You just listened to the KC Sports Report, presented by Michael Darcy.